Ambassador Krill T'vorx straightened his tie for the 17th time as the massive doors to the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a theatrical hiss. The human diplomat had been preparing for this moment for months, ever since Earth had been invited to join the interstellar community following the detection of their first faster-than-light test flight. Announcing Ambassador Krill T'vorx of Earth boomed an automated voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Krill took a deep breath and strode confidently into the grand chamber. The room was a marvel of alien architecture, a perfect dome with hundreds of floating platforms arranged in concentric circles. Each platform housed representatives from different worlds, their forms varying wildly from the vaguely humanoid to the utterly bizarre. "Welcome, Earth representative," said High Counselor Zeth, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and 4 arms. "We are pleased to formally welcome your species into the galactic community." Krill smiled broadly, showing his teeth in what humans considered a friendly gesture. "Thank you, High Counselor. Earth is honored to join this esteemed body of—" A horrified gasp echoed through the chamber, interrupting his carefully rehearsed speech. Several counselors recoiled visibly. One small, rabbit-like being actually fainted, toppling from its platform before being caught by an anti-gravity field. Krill froze, his diplomatic training failing him completely. Did I say something wrong?" High Counselor Zeth had taken 2 steps back, all 4 hands held up in what might have been a defensive posture. You displayed your bone daggers." Krill's brow furrowed. Those a counselor with tentacles for appendages pointed accusingly. "The white pointed structures in your face opening." "My teeth," Krill asked, genuinely confused. "I was just smiling. It's a friendly gesture on Earth." This prompted another round of gasps and murmurs. "Friendly?" asked a being that resembled a sentient cloud of gas. "You call displaying implements designed for tearing flesh friendly?" Krill looked around the room, finally noticing something peculiar. None of the council members had anything resembling teeth. Some had beaks, others had what appeared to be grinding plates, but nothing sharp or pointed. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Krill said carefully. "Yes, humans have teeth, including some designed for tearing food, but—" "You consume other life forms," interrupted a counselor whose species resembled a walking plant. "Well, yes," Krill admitted. "Humans are omnivores. We eat plants and animal protein." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates were shouting over each other, some calling for immediate quarantine of Earth, others demanding Krill's removal from the chamber. High Counselor Zeth raised all 4 arms, calling for order. "Silence. Let us approach this rationally." The chamber gradually quieted, though the tension remained palpable. Zeth turned to Krill with an expression that might have been concern, fear, or simple confusion. "Ambassador, are you saying humans routinely consume the flesh of other animals?" "Yes," Krill said, trying to sound as non-threatening as possible. "Many species on Earth do. It's part of our evolutionary history." "Evolutionary history," repeated Zeth slowly. "You mean to say humans are predators?" Krill considered this. "Technically, yes, though we've developed agriculture and technology that means we don't need to hunt like our ancestors did." "But you could hunt if necessary," pressed another counselor. "I suppose," Krill shrugged. "Some humans still do hunt for food or sport, though most just buy meat from stores." "Sport," the plant-like counselor swayed as if about to faint. "You kill other beings for entertainment." No. That's not what I meant," Krill backpedaled hastily. "Look, I think we're getting off on the wrong foot here." "You have feet with claws as well," shrieked a counselor. "It's just an expression," Krill shouted over the renewed pandemonium. He took a deep breath. "High Counselor, may I please explain?" Zeth, looking distinctly uncomfortable, nodded. "Proceed, but perhaps keep your bone daggers concealed." Krill consciously kept his lips together as he spoke. "Earth has a diverse ecosystem with many types of species. Some are predators, some are prey, and some, like humans, evolved as omnivores. Yes, we have the biological traits of predators: forward-facing eyes, teeth designed for different food types, and the ability to chase down prey if needed. But we've evolved beyond pure instinct. We've developed ethics, morals, and compassion." "Yet you still consume flesh," stated a counselor flatly. "Yes, but—" And your planet's history, interrupted Zeth, reading from a floating holographic display, shows constant warfare between your own kind. You've developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans. Krill winced. Earth's history was indeed bloody. That's true, but we've made great progress toward peace. Many countries haven't had wars in generations. Generations? You mean you haven't even eliminated intraspecies predation? The gas cloud counselor pulsed with what might have been indignation. Krill felt sweat beading on his forehead. This was not going according to the briefing materials. No one had mentioned that the Galactic Council might consist entirely of species that had evolved without predatory adaptations. Ambassador said, High Counselor Zeth gravely, I believe we must reconsider Earth's admission status. It appears your species may be incompatible with Council values. What? No, we're peaceful, Krill protested. Humans are capable of great compassion. Yes, we have a complex history, but that's what makes us who we are. A history of predation and violence, noted Zeth. Perhaps we should dispatch an inspection team to evaluate Earth directly before proceeding further. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Fine, Krill said, trying to hide his frustration. Send your inspection team. But I promise you'll find that humans, despite our evolutionary history, are kind, compassionate beings. We may have been apex predators once, but we've channeled those instincts into protection, not aggression. We shall see, said Zeth skeptically. Council is adjourned while we select representatives for the Earth inspection mission. As the delegates filed out, many giving Krill a wide berth, the human ambassador couldn't help but wonder what other misunderstandings awaited. He'd come prepared to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange, not defend humanity's basic biology. One thing was certain, the next few days were going to be very interesting indeed. Welcome to Earth, distinguished Council representatives, Captain Jack Harper announced with the enthusiasm of someone who'd rather be literally anywhere else. I've been assigned to be your guide during this inspection visit, which is just fantastic for all of us, I'm sure. The three aliens who had just disembarked from their shuttle eyed him warily. None of them stood taller than Harper's chest, and they all possessed various features that screamed evolved to not be eaten. Large, side-set eyes, quick, nervous movements, and bodies clearly built for flight rather than fight. I am Chief Inspector Meelix, said the tallest of the three, a being with pale blue skin and enormous eyes that seemed to be constantly scanning for threats. These are my colleagues, biological expert Vrill and cultural analyst Zoop. Vrill resembled nothing so much as a nervous flamingo crossed with a deer, while Zoop looked like a sentient pillow with 6 tiny arms and no discernible face. Chant, Harper said dryly. The diplomatic team has arranged a comprehensive tour of Earth's major biomes and cultural centers. We'll start with, we wish to see your predators, interrupted Meelix. Harper blinked. I'm sorry. Your world's apex predators, clarified Vrill, the biological expert. We understand Earth has many species that consume others. We need to evaluate the danger level. Right, Harper nodded slowly. So instead of seeing the Louvre or the Great Barrier Reef, you want to check out? What? Lions? Tigers? Great white sharks? All of them, Meelix said firmly. And we want to observe human interaction with these creatures. Harper pinched the bridge of his nose. You do understand that humans generally avoid hanging out with apex predators, right? That's kind of the point of being apex. They're dangerous. The three aliens exchanged nervous glances. Yet you are apex predators yourselves, said Zoop, speaking for the first time in a voice that sounded like a kazoo being played underwater. Technically, yes, Harper admitted. But we've evolved beyond that. Most of us anyway. My ex-wife's lawyer might be the exception. The joke fell flat as the aliens stared at him blankly. Never mind, Harper sighed. Fine. You want predators? I'll show you predators. But first, let's get you settled at your accommodations. Unless you'd prefer to sleep in the lion enclosure. We have our own sleeping pods on the shuttle, Meelix replied stiffly. We do not wish to be vulnerable during rest cycles. Of course you don't, Harper muttered. Well, let's get started then. First stop, the National Zoo. And this, Harper said, gesturing to the large glass enclosure, is a Siberian tiger, one of Earth's most powerful land predators. The three aliens huddled together, staring wide-eyed at the massive cat lounging on a rock in the midday sun. It could tear through our shuttle's hull, whispered Vrill in horror. It absolutely could not, Harper corrected. It's just a big cat. Just Meelix's voice rose an octave. That creature has death attached to its feet. You mean claws? Harper raised an eyebrow. Yeah, they're sharp. That's why the tiger's in there. And we're out here. And humans. Captured this beast? Zoop asked. Well, this one was born in captivity, Harper explained. But yes, humans have captured tigers before. Though we're trying to protect them now, actually. They're endangered. You protect your predators? Meelix seemed genuinely confused. We protect all species, Harper shrugged. Biodiversity is important. The three aliens huddled together, whispering urgently among themselves. Harper checked his watch, wondering if there was any way to speed up this bizarre inspection tour. Captain Harper, Meelix said finally. We notice the viewing area is full of human young. Harper glanced around at the school group nearby, where children were pressing their faces against the glass, making excited noises. Yeah, kids love the zoo, he confirmed. You bring your vulnerable offspring to observe deadly predators? Vrill's voice was faint with disbelief. It's educational, Harper said defensively. Plus, it's perfectly safe. The glass is reinforced. The children appear to be enjoying the sight of the predator, Zoop observed, sounding disturbed. They are, smiling with their bone daggers. Teeth, Harper corrected automatically. And yes, kids find tigers cool. Most humans do. Cool. Meaning. Impressive. Interesting. Worthy of admiration, Harper explained. All three aliens took a step back from him. You admire killing machines? Meelix asked slowly. Harper suppressed a groan. Look, admiring a tiger's strength or a shark's efficiency doesn't mean we want to be like them. It's more about respecting nature's design. Yet your own design is similar, Vrill pointed out. Forward-facing eyes for hunting, teeth for tearing flesh, endurance for chasing prey. True, but we've evolved beyond just being predators, Harper insisted. We're complex beings with art, culture, empathy. We would like to see more predators, Meelix interrupted. Specifically, how humans interact with them. Harper checked his itinerary. Fine. Next stop was supposed to be the Natural History Museum, but instead, let's head over to the aquarium. You can see some sharks. This is ridiculous, Harper muttered as he led the aliens through the crowded aquarium. There are so many better things I could be showing you about Earth. We must understand the predatory nature of your world, Meelix insisted. The Council is concerned. They stopped in front of the massive shark tank, where a diver in scuba gear was currently swimming among several reef sharks. Is that human in danger? Gasped Zoop. No, Harper explained. Those are relatively docile sharks. The diver knows what they're doing. They are swimming with predators voluntarily. Vrill's spindly legs seemed to tremble. Yes, some humans even do it for fun. This prompted another huddle of urgent alien whispers. When they broke apart, Meelix fixed Harper with an intense stare. We have observed multiple apex predator species now, but we need to see the most dangerous one. Which would be? Harper asked, though he had a sinking feeling he knew the answer. Humans, said Meelix. We need to observe humans in their natural predatory state. Harper laughed. What, you want me to take you hunting or something? Three alien heads nodded in unison. Oh, you're serious? Harper sighed. Look, most humans don't hunt anymore. We don't need to. We have grocery stores. Where you purchase the flesh of other beings, Vrill noted disapprovingly.
Yes, Harper admitted. But it's humane. Or at least it's supposed to be.
We insist on observing human predatory behavior, Meelix said firmly. It is essential to our report. Harper thought for a moment. Fine. I can't take you actual hunting on short notice, but I know where we can go. Ever heard of paintball? The sounds of shouting and the pop-pop-pop of paintball guns filled the air as Harper and the three aliens observed from a safe distance. So let me get this straight, Meelix said, watching humans in camouflage stalking each other through an artificial forest. These humans are simulating hunting and killing each other for recreation. It's just a game, Harper explained for what felt like the dozenth time. No one actually gets hurt. Well, maybe some bruises. They practice hunting their own kind. Vrill's voice was faint. For fun. When you put it that way, it sounds bad, Harper admitted. But it's really just exercise and strategy, team building even. On the field, someone shouted gotcha as a player was eliminated with a splatter of blue paint. The victor displays dominance, observed Zoop. They seem pleased to have symbolically killed their opponent. It's not, Harper began, then gave up. Okay, fine. Yes, humans have predatory instincts, and sometimes we channel them into harmless games, but that doesn't make us dangerous to the galactic community. That remains to be seen, Meelix said ominously. We have one final observation to make. What now? Harper asked, exhaustion evident in his voice. We wish to observe humans consuming flesh. Harper stared at them. You want to watch people eat dinner? Yes, Meelix confirmed. A typical human meal involving meat. Fine, Harper threw up his hands. You know what? Fine. Let's go to a steakhouse. I could use a good meal after this day anyway. As they turned to leave, a paintball whizzed past, missing Vrill by inches. The alien made a sound like a deflating balloon and promptly fainted. Is he okay? Harper asked as Meelix and Zoop rushed to their colleague's side. He will recover, Meelix said, fanning Vrill with a datapad. Our species has evolved to faint when threatened. It makes predators think we are already dead and possibly spoiled. That's actually pretty clever, Harper admitted. A necessary adaptation in a galaxy full of predators, Meelix replied pointedly. Though we had thought such adaptations were no longer necessary in civilized space. Harper helped them revive their colleague, wondering how a simple dinner was going to go with three aliens who were apparently horrified by the very concept of eating meat. As they made their way back to the transport, Harper couldn't shake the feeling that this inspection was going terribly wrong. At this rate, Earth would be classified as a death world and quarantined from the rest of the galaxy. Just wait until they see what humans consider pets, he muttered to himself. This is going to be a diplomatic nightmare. This establishment specializes in the preparation of bovine muscle tissue, Harper explained as they entered the steakhouse. It's considered high-quality dining on Earth. The restaurant was dimly lit with leather booths and wood paneling, going for that classic carnivore's paradise aesthetic. Waiters carried sizzling plates past them, the aroma of grilled meat filling the air. All three aliens visibly recoiled. The smell, gasped Vrill, covering what might have been nostrils with two spindly appendages. It's the smell of death, it's the smell of dinner, Harper corrected, forcing a smile as the hostess approached. Table for 4, please. And maybe something in a quiet corner. He glanced meaningfully at his companions. Once seated, Harper picked up a menu while the aliens huddled together on the opposite side of the booth, as far from him as physically possible. You don't have to eat meat, Harper told them. They have salads. Plant matter only. We are not here to consume, Meelix said stiffly. We are here to observe. Suit yourselves, Harper shrugged, then turned to the approaching waiter. I'll have the ribeye in medium rare, with a baked potato and a glass of Cabernet. Excellent choice, sir, the waiter said, pointedly not commenting on the three trembling aliens who seemed to be trying to merge into a single entity on the other side of the booth. They're not hungry, Harper explained. Cultural observers, the waiter nodded professionally and departed. Medium rare, Zoop's voice was barely audible. This means the meat is cooked but still pink in the middle, Harper explained. Blood, whispered Vrill. You consume flesh still containing blood. It's not blood. It's myoglobin and water, Harper corrected, then sighed at their blank stares. Never mind. Look, I get that your species are all herbivores or whatever, but surely you've encountered omnivorous species before. The Council has limited contact with predatory species, Meelix admitted. They are generally considered too dangerous for inclusion. That's discrimination, Harper pointed out. It is prudence, countered Meelix. Species with predatory instincts have historically been more aggressive, more territorial, and more prone to violence. Harper was saved from responding when his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. Excuse me, I need to take this. Is my daughter. The aliens watched with interest as Harper answered the video call. Hey, sweetheart, his voice softened instantly. How's it going? Dad, came an excited voice from the device. Guess what? Luna had her puppies. The screen showed a beaming teenage girl holding up a tiny, squirming puppy. Behind her, A large golden retriever lay in a basket, surrounded by more puppies. That's great, Emma. How many? 6. They're so cute. When are you coming home? You have to see them, should be just a couple more days, honey. I'm in the middle of work right now. Can I call you back later? Okay, Dad. Love you too, Em. Harper ended the call with a smile, then noticed all 3 aliens staring at him with expressions he couldn't quite interpret. Sorry about that, he said. Where were we? That young human, Meelix said slowly. She is your offspring, my daughter, yes. She's 14, and those smaller creatures with the larger creature, those are dogs. Luna is our family dog, and those are her puppies. Newborns. The aliens exchanged glances again. You maintain predators in your dwelling? Vrill asked, sounding faint. Harper laughed. Dogs aren't predators. I mean, technically their ancestors were, but dogs have been domesticated for thousands of years. They're pets. Companions. Companions, Zoop repeated, as if trying to understand a completely alien concept. But they have teeth and claws. So do cats, and about half the homes on Earth have one of those too. Harper shrugged. People love their pets. They're like family. The waiter arrived with Harper's steak, setting it down with a flourish. Careful, the plate is hot. Harper thanked him, then turned back to find the aliens staring in horror at his dinner. You said humans had evolved beyond predation, Meelix accused, pointing a trembling finger at the steak. I said we've evolved beyond just being predators, Harper clarified, cutting into his steak. Our biology still requires certain nutrients best found in animal proteins, though plenty of humans choose plant-based diets through supplements. It's a personal choice. He took a bite, and Vrill promptly fainted again.
Oh, come on, Harper muttered through his mouthful. While Meelix and Zoop attended to their colleague, Harper continued eating. He was hungry, and the steak was excellent. By the time Vrill had been revived, he was halfway through his meal. Sorry about that, he said, not feeling particularly sorry. Look, I understand this is all very shocking to you, but you're getting a very skewed perspective of humanity. Yes, we eat meat. Yes, we have some predatory traits. But that's not what defines us. Then what does define you, Meelix challenged. Harper considered this while chewing. Our capacity for compassion, I'd say. Our ability to care for others outside our immediate group. Our drive to protect the vulnerable. Yet you consume vulnerable beings, Zoop pointed out. It's complicated, Harper admitted. But I think you'll find most advanced species have contradictions. We're working on being better. We have seen enough here, Meelix declared. We wish to observe other aspects of human society, specifically how humans interact with each other. Harper nodded, relieved to be moving on from the topic of food. I can arrange that. There's a community center nearby with various activities. We could head there after dinner. The community center was bustling with activity when they arrived. Harper led the aliens through the facility, pointing out different rooms. Over there is a yoga class, he explained. It's a form of exercise focusing on flexibility, strength, and mental well-being. Those humans appear peaceful, Vrill observed cautiously. See? We're not all about predation, Harper said. And over here. A loud thump interrupted him, followed by shouts. The aliens jumped collectively. What violence is occurring? Meelix demanded. No violence, Harper sighed. It's just the martial arts class next door. He reluctantly led them to a viewing window where they could observe a karate class in progress. 2 humans in white uniforms circled each other on mats, then engaged in a series of strikes and blocks. They are fighting, Zoop stated flatly. They're practicing, Harper corrected. It's controlled. Disciplined. Many humans practice martial arts for exercise, self-improvement, and yes, self-defense. You train your young to fight, Meelix noted, watching as an instructor demonstrated a move to a group of children. We train them in discipline and respect, Harper countered. The fighting is secondary. A sharp cry, followed by the sound of someone hitting the mat, caused all 3 aliens to flinch. Perhaps we should move on, Harper suggested, noting their distress. They continued down the hallway, passing various activity rooms. Harper pointed out art classes, language lessons, and a group of elderly humans playing chess. See? Plenty of non-violent activities, he said hopefully. Their tour was interrupted by a small human child who came barreling around the corner, crashing directly into Vrill. Both went down in a tangle of limbs. I'm so sorry, exclaimed a harried-looking woman, rushing up behind the child. Tommy apologized to the... she faltered, clearly unsure how to address the alien. I'm sorry, Tommy said, looking more curious than apologetic as he stared at Vrill. Are you a space alien, Tommy? His mother scolded. It's fine, Harper interjected. Yes, they're diplomatic visitors. And yes, they're okay. This last part directed at Meelix and Zoop, who were helping Vrill to his feet. Your offspring attacked our colleague, Meelix accused. He didn't attack anyone, the mother said defensively. It was an accident. He's just excited because his team won their soccer game. Zoop inquired. Harper groaned internally. It's a competitive sport. Two teams try to get a ball into the opposing goal. Another simulation of combat, Meelix noted disapprovingly. It's a ball game, the mother said, looking confused. It teaches teamwork, and you know what? Never mind. Tommy, let's go. Sorry again. She ushered her son away, casting backward glances at the strange group. Human children are allowed to run freely, Vrill asked, still straightening his limbs. Without restraints. Restraints, Harper blinked. We don't put kids in restraints. That would be cruel, but they are dangerous, Vrill insisted. That small one nearly incapacitated me. He bumped into you, Harper pointed out, accidentally. Because he's a kid, and kids get excited and don't always look where they're going. The aliens huddled again for a whispered conference. Harper checked the time, wondering how much more of this tour he would have to endure. We have observed enough, Meelix announced when they broke apart. Humans train for combat, allow their young to roam unrestrained, and maintain predatory companions in their dwellings. This, combined with your consumption of flesh and your species' history of warfare, paints a concerning picture. You're missing the entire point, Harper said, frustration evident in his voice. Yes, humans have the capacity for violence. We evolved as predators and still carry those instincts. But we've channeled those instincts in productive ways. We protect what we love. We defend the vulnerable. Captain Harper, a voice interrupted over his communication device. This is command. We have a situation. Please report to headquarters immediately with the council representatives. Harper frowned. What's going on? Emergency broadcast from council space. I've been ordered not to share details over unsecured channels. Please proceed immediately. Harper looked at the aliens, who appeared equally confused. Looks like our tour just got cut short, he said. We need to head back. As they made their way to the exit, Harper couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Whatever was happening, it was serious enough to interrupt a diplomatic mission, which meant it was very serious indeed. Perhaps, he thought grimly, the aliens were about to see a very different side of humanity than they had anticipated. Harper strode into Earth's diplomatic headquarters with the three aliens scurrying behind him. The building was a flurry of activity, with staff rushing between rooms and urgent conversations happening in every corner. What's going on? Harper asked as he approached the command center. Ambassador Krill T'vorx turned from a large screen displaying a star map. His expression was grim. The Vraxian outpost has been attacked. Vraxian, Harper frowned. I'm not familiar with them. They're a council species, Krill explained. Peaceful researchers, they have had a scientific outpost near the Arcturus system, just at the edge of what the council considers our neighborhood of space. The three alien representatives pushed forward. Our people were at that outpost, Meelix exclaimed. What has happened? Who is responsible? Krill gestured to the screen, where grainy footage showed reptilian-like creatures boarding a space station. The Krill T'vorx, a non-council species from the Outer Rim. They've been raiding outposts for resources. Krill T'vorx, Vrill's voice was barely a whisper. They are. Apex predators, they're pirates and scavengers, Krill corrected. And they've taken the outpost staff hostage, including 12 council representatives. What are we doing about it? Harper asked. That's the problem, Krill said, lowering his voice. The council has requested our help, Harper blinked. Earth's help, yes, Krill nodded. Apparently we're the closest planet with suitable capabilities. Harper glanced at the three alien representatives, who were now huddled together, whispering urgently. Suitable capabilities, Harper repeated slowly. They mean military capabilities, don't they? They want Earth's predators, not exactly how I would have phrased it. Krill winced, but essentially, yes. The council species don't maintain significant military forces. Their evolutionary backgrounds never necessitated it. So after spending days being horrified by humanity's predatory nature, they now want to use that same nature to save their people. Harper couldn't help the note of satisfaction in his voice. Captain Harper, Meelix interrupted, approaching with what might have been embarrassment. We have been authorized by the High Council to formally request Earth's assistance in this crisis. I thought Earth was too dangerous to join your council, Harper said, raising an eyebrow. The situation has evolved, Meelix admitted. The council recognizes that certain abilities may be valuable in specific scenarios. Harper crossed his arms. You mean our predatory instincts? Meelix squirmed visibly. The Krill T'vorx are a highly aggressive species. They consume other sentient beings. The council species have no natural defenses against such predators. Our evolutionary paths favored cooperation and flight, not fight. So now you want us to fight for you, Harper said flatly. You said humans protect the vulnerable, Zoop spoke up. You said this defines you more than your predatory nature. Harper couldn't argue with that. He turned back to Krill. What's the plan? A small team, Krill said. Fast ship. Get in, extract the hostages, get out. Minimal confrontation if possible, and if it's not possible. Harper asked. Krill's expression hardened. Then we show the Kale Tsar why messing with humanity's new allies is a bad idea. 6 hours later, Harper found himself on a sleek Earth vessel approaching the Vraxian outpost. With him were 5 other humans, 2 military specialists, a medic, a tech expert, and a xenolinguist. To his surprise, the 3 alien representatives had insisted on accompanying the mission. You really don't have to be here, Harper told them as they huddled in a corner of the bridge, looking thoroughly out of place among the purposeful humans. We must observe, Meelix said stiffly, for our report. This isn't a tour anymore, Harper warned. This could get dangerous, we understand, Meelix replied. We need to see. Harper shrugged and turned his attention to the tactical display. The outpost loomed ahead, a sprawling structure of interconnected modules orbiting a small, rocky planetoid. Scans showed a Kale Tsar vessel docked at the main port. Captain called the tech expert, I've accessed the outpost's security feeds. The main screen flickered to show interior views of the station. The Kale Tsar were even more intimidating in motion, tall, muscular reptilians with powerful jaws and clawed hands. They moved with predatory grace, herding a group of terrified aliens into what appeared to be the station's mess hall. Those are the hostages, Vrill whispered, pointing at the screen. Council scientists and diplomatic staff, Harper studied the situation. How many Kale Tsar? Scans show 14 life signs matching their biology, the tech expert reported. And 22 hostages added the xenolinguist, who had been monitoring communications. What do we know about Kale Tsar motivations? Harper asked. They're resource pirates, the xenolinguist explained. They raid, take what they want, sometimes take captives for labor or food. A small sound of distress came from the alien's corner. Right, Harper said grimly. So, negotiation probably isn't an option. They don't appear to have made any demands, the xenolinguist confirmed. This is likely a smash and grab operation. Harper turned to his team. We'll dock at the auxiliary port. 2 teams. Team 1 secures the hostages. Team 2 disables the Kale Tsar ship to prevent escape. Non-lethal measures preferred, but he paused, glancing at the aliens. Protect yourselves and the hostages at all costs. The team nodded, checking their equipment. They carried a mix of stun weapons and conventional firearms, the latter as a last resort. What about us, Meelix asked, indicating himself and his colleagues. You stay on our ship, Harper said firmly. Where it's safe, but we must observe. You can observe through the security feeds. Harper cut him off. This isn't a debate. To his surprise, the aliens didn't argue further. The mission started smoothly enough. They docked without detection and entered the station through a maintenance airlock. The team moved through the corridors silently, guided by real-time security feed data transmitted to their wrist devices. Team 2, branch off here, Harper whispered as they reached a junction. Disable their ship, then rejoin us if possible. 2 of the specialists nodded and disappeared down a side corridor. Harper led the remaining team toward the mess hall, where the hostages were being held. They were halfway there when the station's alarm system suddenly blared to life. We've been spotted, the tech expert hissed, checking her device. Security camera in section 4. Move, Harper ordered. Double time to the mess hall, they abandoned stealth for speed, racing through the corridors as red emergency lights flashed. They rounded a corner and came face to face with 2 Kale Tsar. The reptilian pirates were even more terrifying up close, nearly 7 feet tall, with scales the color of bruises and eyes like burning coals. They hissed in surprise, then charged. Harper and his team fired their stun weapons simultaneously. The first Kale Tsar dropped immediately, but the second seemed only momentarily phased before continuing its charge, razor-sharp claws extended. The security specialist beside Harper swore and switched to his sidearm, firing 2 shots. The Kale Tsar stumbled, then collapsed. Thick hides, the specialist muttered. Stun weapons might not be enough. Harper nodded grimly. Noted. Let's move. Back on the Earth ship, the 3 alien representatives watched the unfolding situation with a mixture of horror and fascination. They are fighting predators, Vrill whispered, staring at the screen where Harper's team was now engaged in a firefight outside the mess hall. To protect other beings, Zoop added. Beings not of their species noticed their efficiency, Meelix observed. No wasted motion. No hesitation. On screen, they watched as Harper signaled his team to take positions around the mess hall entrance. 3 Kale Tsar guards outside the door were focused on the main corridor, unaware of the humans approaching from a service tunnel. I don't understand, Vrill said suddenly. Why would humans risk themselves for council species? We have offered them nothing. We have treated them with suspicion, perhaps, Meelix replied slowly. There is more to predatory evolution than we have understood. The situation in the mess hall had deteriorated rapidly. Harper's team had neutralized the guards, but not before one had triggered an alert. Now they were in a standoff, 5 humans against 7 KLZR, with terrified hostages caught in the middle. Release the hostages, Harper called out in standard galactic, the lingua franca of space. Your ship is being disabled as we speak. You have nowhere to go. The largest KLZR, presumably their leader, hissed something in their native tongue. He says they'll kill the hostages if we don't back off, translated the xenolinguist. They want their ship restored and safe passage. Harper assessed the situation quickly. The KLZR had positioned themselves around the hostages, using them as shields. Any direct assault would result in casualties. Tell them we can arrange transport off the station, Harper replied. But the hostages must be released first. The xenolinguist relayed the message. The KLZR leader's response was immediate and violent. He grabbed the nearest hostage, a small, trembling alien that resembled a blue koala, and held a wicked-looking blade to its throat. No more negotiations, translated the xenolinguist grimly. They'll start killing unless we withdraw in 30 seconds. Harper's mind raced. A frontal assault was too risky. Withdrawal meant abandoning the hostages. There had to be another option. His eyes darted around the mess hall, taking in details: the ventilation ducts, the service counter, the overhead lighting fixtures. And the fire suppression system. Can you trigger the fire suppressant without setting off more alarms? He whispered to the tech expert. She glanced up at the ceiling nozzles. Yes, but it won't hurt them. It's just foam. It will blind them temporarily, Harper pointed out. And create chaos, she nodded, fingers flying over her device. On your mark, Harper signaled his team, ensuring they understood the plan. Each took aim at a specific KLZR, ready to fire the moment visibility was compromised. 3, 2, 1, now. The ceiling nozzles burst open, spraying thick white foam throughout the mess hall. The KLZR roared in confusion as their vision was obscured. Harper and his team fired simultaneously, striking with precision despite the chaos. 4 KLZR went down immediately. 2 more fell as they tried to regroup. The leader, still holding the small blue alien, backed toward the rear exit, blade pressed against his hostage's throat. Harper had a clear shot, but it was risky. If he missed, or if the KLZR's reflexes were fast enough, the hostage would die. He took a deep breath, steadied his aim, and heard a sound behind him. Stop, cried a voice he recognized as Meelix's. We wish to speak with the KLZR. Harper nearly dropped his weapon in shock as the 3 council representatives pushed past him, approaching the KLZR leader with what appeared to be suicidal bravery or stupidity. What are you doing? Harper hissed. Get back. They ignored him, continuing forward until they stood just a few meters from the KLZR leader, who watched them with obvious confusion. We represent the Galactic Council, Meelix announced, his voice surprisingly steady. The beings you have taken are under our protection, the KLZR leader hissed something that sounded distinctly like laughter. The council has no protection to offer, the xenolinguist translated. The council is weak, prey. The council itself, perhaps, Meelix conceded. But the council now has allies. Human allies. As he spoke, Vrill and Zoop spread out slightly, creating distance between them. Harper suddenly realized what they were doing, creating multiple targets, dividing the KLZR's attention. You see these humans, Meelix continued, gesturing toward Harper and his team. They are apex predators. Their species evolved to hunt, to kill. Their teeth can tear flesh. Their minds can outsmart any prey. Their bodies can run until their targets collapse from exhaustion. The KLZR leader's eyes narrowed, darting between the aliens and the humans. But do you know what makes them truly dangerous? Meelix asked, taking another step forward. They protect. They have taken the council under their protection. If you harm any council being, the humans will hunt you. Not just today, not just here. They will hunt your kind across the stars. It was an impressive speech, Harper had to admit, especially coming from a being who had been terrified of a house cat just days ago. The KLZR leader seemed less impressed. He snarled something and tightened his grip on the hostage. He says you lie, translated the xenolinguist. Humans are not council allies, then why are they here? Meelix challenged. Why do they fight to protect beings not of their kind? This is what makes humans unique among predators. They protect the weak, they defend the vulnerable, and they are very, very good at it. As Meelix spoke, Harper noticed Vrill and Zoop had continued their subtle movements, now positioned on either side of the KLZR leader, who was growing increasingly distracted by having to track multiple potential threats. Harper realized this was his chance. He raised his weapon, took careful aim, and fired. The stun blast hit the Kale-Zar leader in the shoulder, not enough to drop him, but enough to make him stagger and loosen his grip on the hostage. In that split second, Zoop darted forward with surprising speed, pulling the small blue alien to safety. The Kale-Zar roared in fury and lunged not at the retreating hostage, but at Meelix, who stood his ground despite visibly trembling. Harper didn't hesitate. He switched his weapon to lethal and fired twice. The Kale-Zar leader collapsed mid-lunge, falling just short of Meelix's feet. A silence fell over the mess hall, broken only by the soft sounds of frightened hostages and the dripping of fire-suppressant foam. "Is everyone okay?" Harper called out, moving forward to check on Meelix. The alien representative stood frozen, staring at the fallen Kale-Zar. "You killed it," Meelix said softly. "To protect me, that's what we do," Harper replied simply. He turned to survey the room. The hostages were shaken but largely unharmed. His team was securing the remaining Kale-Zar pirates. The crisis, it seemed, was over. But as Harper looked at the three council representatives now surrounded by grateful hostages, he had the distinct impression that something significant had changed in their understanding of humanity. Whether that change would be for better or worse remained to be seen. The journey back to Earth was quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos of the rescue mission. Harper sat in the command chair, reviewing reports while occasionally glancing at the three alien representatives huddled in conversation at the far end of the bridge. "Captain," the tech expert called out. "Earth Command requests a status update. Tell them mission accomplished," Harper replied. 14 Kale-Zar neutralized, 22 hostages rescued, minimal injuries on all sides. He paused. "And inform Ambassador T'vorx that our council friends have been educational." As the tech expert relayed the message, Meelix approached Harper's chair, his movements less nervous than before. "Captain Harper," he began, "my colleagues and I have been discussing the events at the outpost." "I figured as much," Harper nodded, having second thoughts about humanity's place in the galaxy. Meelix's large eyes blinked slowly. "We observed many things. Your team's efficiency, your tactical decisions, the precision of your actions," he paused. "But most notably, your restraint," Harper raised an eyebrow. "Restraint, you had superior weapons," Vrill added, joining the conversation. "You could have eliminated all the Kale-Zar immediately, yet you chose less lethal methods when possible and prioritized the safety of the hostages above all else," Zoop chimed in. Harper shrugged. "That was the mission, but that's precisely our point," Meelix insisted. "Your predatory capabilities were channeled entirely toward protection. You used precision instead of overwhelming force. When you did employ lethal measures, it was only when a life was directly threatened." "That's standard procedure," Harper said. "We're not monsters," no, Meelix agreed solemnly. "You're not. And that is what we failed to understand," one of the rescued scientists, a willowy being with translucent skin, approached their group. "I wish to thank you again, Captain. The Kale-Zar they were going to." "You don't need to think about that anymore," Harper assured them. "You're safe now because of humans," the scientist said, turning to Meelix. "Inspector, I hope your report will reflect what these humans did for us. How they came without hesitation when the council called. It will," Meelix promised. After the scientist departed, Harper fixed the aliens with a curious look. "I've been wondering something. Why did you three put yourselves at risk during the standoff? That was incredibly dangerous." The aliens exchanged glances before Vrill answered. "We observed how humans protect others. We wanted to understand what that feels like." And Harper prompted. "It was terrifying," Vrill admitted. "But also empowering. To stand between danger and the vulnerable, even briefly, that's the thing about being a protector," Harper said quietly. "The fear never goes away. You just learn to act despite it." "A concept foreign to our evolutionary path," Meelix noted. "Our species survived by fleeing danger, not confronting it," the ship's communication system chimed, interrupting their conversation. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They're requesting a direct feed with you and the inspection team." Harper straightened his uniform. "Put it through to the main screen." The bridge display flickered, revealing High Counselor Zeth, whose four arms were clasped in what might have been a gesture of respect. "Captain Harper," Zeth began, "the Council extends its deepest gratitude for your intervention at the Vraxian outpost. Your actions saved many lives today." "Just doing our job," Counselor Harper replied professionally. "Nevertheless, it has illuminated certain misunderstandings." Zeth's gaze shifted to the three representatives. "Inspector Meelix, your preliminary report was most enlightening." Meelix stepped forward. "High Counselor, I believe our assessment of human biology was accurate but incomplete. Their predatory traits are undeniable, but we failed to recognize how those same traits enable them to be exceptional protectors." Indeed, Zeth nodded. "The very features we found concerning their forward-facing eyes, their teeth, Their pursuit capabilities were employed in defense of Council citizens. If I may, Counselor Harper interjected, humanity has spent millennia learning to channel our instincts. We're not perfect, but we've come to understand that being strong means having a responsibility toward those who aren't. Zeth was silent for a moment, contemplating. Captain Harper, the Council would like to formally request an expanded cultural exchange program with Earth. It seems we have much to learn from each other. I think that can be arranged, Harper smiled slightly. Though you might want to prepare your people for meeting our pets. They're mostly harmless, I promise. Perhaps, Zeth said, with what might have been the alien equivalent of a smile, we should begin with something less intimidating than your dogs, maybe these cats you mentioned. Harper barely suppressed a laugh, catching Meelix's eye. Right, cats. Much less intimidating. As the transmission ended, Harper turned to find the three aliens looking at him with what he could only describe as cautious optimism. So he said, still think we're too dangerous for the galactic community. Dangerous, yes, Meelix admitted. But perhaps that is precisely what the galaxy needs. The Grand Council chamber was significantly more crowded than during Krill T'vorx's first visit. Representatives from dozens of worlds craned their necks and extended various sensory appendages to get a better view of the proceedings. Today's session was historic, the formal consideration of Earth's admission to the Galactic Council. Krill stood at the center of the chamber, with Captain Harper and the human delegation beside him. High Counselor Zeth presided from the elevated platform. After thorough consideration of the inspection report, the rescue operation at the Vraxian outpost, and subsequent cultural exchanges, Zeth announced, the Council is prepared to vote on Earth's admission status. Meelix stepped forward from the inspection team's platform. Before the vote, I wish to address the Council one final time. Zeth nodded permission. Esteemed colleagues, Meelix began. Our initial assessment of humans identified them as apex predators with concerning biological traits. This assessment was factually correct, but fundamentally flawed. Murmurs spread through the chamber. We failed to recognize that predatory evolution can produce not only efficient hunters, but also dedicated protectors. The same traits that make humans dangerous, their perception, their strategic thinking, also make them uniquely suited to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Meelix gestured toward Harper. During the Kalzar incident, I witnessed humans risk their lives for beings they had just met, from species they barely understood. Not for resources or territory, but purely to prevent harm to others. The Council has long prided itself on cooperation, Meelix continued, but we must acknowledge our limitations. Our evolutionary paths favored flight over fight, avoidance over confrontation. This has created a peaceful society, yes, but one vulnerable to predatory species like the Kalzar. Vrill joined Meelix. Humans represent something we never evolved, the capacity to stand between danger and the vulnerable. To not merely flee from threats, but to face them directly. Zoop completed the trio. In our time on Earth, we observed humans using their predatory instincts primarily for protection of their young, their companions, even their entire ecosystem. They protect not just their own kind, but all they consider under their care. High Counselor Zeth considered their words. You are suggesting that what we initially viewed as a liability may in fact be an asset. Precisely, Meelix confirmed. The galaxy is not uniformly peaceful. There are threats the Council species are ill-equipped to confront. Humans, with their unique evolutionary heritage, fill a gap in our collective capabilities. Krill stepped forward. Earth doesn't ask to join the Council despite our biology, but because of it. We offer not just our technology or resources, but our fundamental nature as protectors. Harper nodded in agreement. Humanity's history isn't perfect. We've made mistakes, fought wars, caused harm, but we've learned from that history. We've channeled our instincts toward defense rather than conquest. Zeth raised all four hands, calling for the vote. Council representatives, you have heard the arguments. The question before us is whether Earth, with its predatory evolutionary background but protective ethos, should be admitted as a full Council member. The voting process was swift and decisive. When the results appeared on the floating displays, even Krill seemed surprised. By an overwhelming majority, Zeth announced Earth is welcomed into the Galactic Council. Applause and various alien approximations of approval filled the chamber. As the formalities concluded, Harper found himself approached by Meelix, so Harper said with a slight smile, from dangerous predators to valued allies in less than a standard month. That must be some kind of record. The Council adapts when presented with new evidence, Meelix replied. Though I must admit, I still find your teeth somewhat disconcerting. Harper laughed. You should see what happens when we smile. Perhaps most remarkable, Meelix observed, is how you've maintained your predatory instincts while developing such capacity for compassion. It challenges our understanding of evolutionary paths. Maybe that's the lesson here, Harper suggested. Evolution provides the tools, but a species decides how to use them. As they watched Earth being formally added to the galactic map display, Meelix made a sound that might have been thoughtful contemplation. You know, the alien said finally, I might even be prepared to meet one of these dogs you keep mentioning. Under controlled conditions, of course. I know, just the one. Harper grinned. My daughter's golden retriever just had puppies. Nothing says friendly predator quite like a golden puppy. I trust your judgment, Meelix said, only slightly nervously. After all, if there's one thing we've learned about humans, it's that under those alarming bone daggers lies a profound instinct to protect rather than harm. The friendliest apex predators in the galaxy, Harper agreed. That's us.